time is precisely 1:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited and read by Ramesh Pires. The headlines. Head of State underscores the accomplishments in providing land rights to the people without a revolution. In a major crackdown on crime, police carry out more arrests as part of Operation Yuktiya. Held trade unions and finance ministry representatives to meet today. 1,300 doctors to join government hospitals in March. Special changes to be made to facilitate the Muslim officers in view of the Ramadan season this year. The 5th session of 9th Parliament to be declared open tomorrow. In international news, UN Chief appoints independent panel to assess UNRWA. In sports, the Centre of Excellence at the Rangiri Dambulla Stadium inaugurated by the President to foster the growth of cricket in the country. Now the local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe underscored the accomplishment of the current government in providing land rights to the people of the country without a revolution amidst numerous global movements advocating for land rights. Highlighting the initial success of the government in rescuing the country from bankruptcy, President Wickremesinghe also emphasized additional achievements such as the Aswasma program benefiting 2 million people and salary increases for 1.5 million government employees. The President noted that the government achieved significant progress for the country's betterment in just 2 years with the support of a partial parliament. He encouraged everyone to contemplate the potential advancements the country could achieve with the backing of all parliament members. The head of state made these remarks during a ceremony at Rangiri Dambulla Stadium on Monday, where 10,000 freehold titles were awarded to farmers as part of the first phase of the Urumaya program. In a major crackdown on crime, police arrested 733 suspects across the island in the 24 hours ending this morning as part of Operation Yuktiya. According to police reports, a total of 589 suspects were apprehended for drug-related offences, while 144 others were picked up based on the list of criminals issued by the crime branch. The arrests yielded a significant haul of illegal narcotics, including 130 grams of heroin, 159 grams of ice and 1,725 kilograms of cannabis. Furthermore, 8 individuals on the watch list of the Police Narcotics Bureau and the Police Special Bureau were also apprehended. Notably, among the 108 suspects detained based on the crime branch list, 12 were wanted for drug-related offences, while 128 had outstanding warrants for non-drug-related crimes. In a move to address the ongoing doctor shortage within government hospitals, the Ministry of Health announced the assignment of 1,300 additional doctors starting next March. Ministry Secretary, Specialist Dr. Palita Mahipala confirmed that these doctors are currently completing their internships and will be joining the workforce upon successful completion. This follows the recent appointment of 590 doctors who finished their internships last week. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. Special changes are to be made to the public sector work shifts to facilitate the Muslim officers who are taking part in prayers and religious activities in view of the Ramadan season this year. This was communicated by way of a circular issued by the Ministry of Public Administration, addressed to the ministerial secretaries, provincial chief secretaries, heads of departments and heads of state corporations and statutory boards last week. The Ramadan season is set to begin on the 12th of March and ends on the 11th of April. As such, the ministry has given instructions to make necessary arrangements to enable Muslim officers to take part in the prayers and religious activities during this period. The 5th session of the 9th Parliament will be ceremonially declared open by President Ranil Wickremesinghe tomorrow. This was communicated by the Legislative Services Department of the Parliament while announcing the business of the House of Parliament for the first sitting week of February 2024, as decided by political party leaders. The Parliament was prorogued with effect from midnight on the 26th of January, marking the closure of the 4th session of the 9th Parliament. The prorogation was announced via a proclamation published in the Government Gazette by virtue of the powers vested in the President by Article 70 of the Constitution. When a new session kicks off, the President has the opportunity to preside over the ceremonial opening of the Parliament and to present the government's policy statement. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to the main news story. The health sector trade unionists and finance ministry representatives are slated to meet later today to discuss the concerns of the health workers regarding allowances. Health Trade Unions Alliance convener Ravi Kumadesh said the meeting is scheduled to start at noon under the instructions of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The trade unions representing a wide range of health sector professionals have engaged in strikes on multiple occasions demanding an allowance hike for them. On the 8th of January, the Cabinet of Ministers approved President Ranil Wickremesinghe's proposal to double the debt allowance paid to government doctors, raising it from 35,000 rupees to 70,000 rupees. This compelled the other health workers to resort to trade union actions. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
In Watchlight, Education Minister Sushil Premchand says, with the aim of providing equal opportunities in education, a total of 3,000 schools with advanced level classes will be digitized in March. While addressing an event at the Hindu College in Jaffna, he said the children will be given the opportunity to continue their educational activities by connecting with new technology. The minister further mentioned that the training of teachers related to the digitization of the 3,000 schools will start in March, and interactive boards will be provided to all schools concerned. He also pointed out that the computer resource centers established in every education zone have been updated. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Moving on to the bulletin of World News. First, the headlines. UN Chief appoints independent panel to assess UNRWA. Senegal on the brink after elections postponed. Britain's King Charles diagnosed with cancer. Now the World News in detail. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has announced the creation of an independent panel to assess the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, or UNRWA. The aid agency has been under fire over accusations by Israel that 12 of its staff members were involved in the Hamas attack on Israel on the 7th of October. More than a dozen countries, including the United States, Germany, the United Kingdom and Sweden, have suspended funding to the agency. The independent panel will be led by former French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna, who will work with the European research organizations, the UN said in a statement. The goal of the investigation is to assess whether the agency is doing everything within its power to ensure neutrality and to respond to allegations of serious breaches when they are made. Senegal's reputation as a bastion of democracy in an unstable region is on the line as protesters clash with police outside the National Assembly. Inside, lawmakers have passed a contentious bill to extend President Macky Sall's tenure as delayed elections after he called off a planned election, with just 3 weeks to go. Khalifa Sall, a leading opponent and a former mayor of Dhaka, called the delay a constitutional coup and urged people to protest against it. His political coalition has vowed to go to court. No sooner had President Sall announced the unprecedented postponement, protesters marched across the capital, Dhaka, to call for a reversal. King Charles has spent the night at home after beginning outpatient cancer treatment. On Monday, Buckingham Palace announced the 75-year-old has diagnosed with the disease, which was identified during his recent hospital treatment for a benign enlarged prostate. The palace has not said what type of cancer the king has been diagnosed with. The monarch has been advised to postpone public duties, but will undertake state duties and continue to meet Prime Minister Rishi Sunak weekly. Prince William is expected to cover some engagements on his behalf. Prince Harry has spoken to his father and will travel to the UK from the US in the coming days. Back to the headlines of the world news. UN chief appoints independent panel to assess UNRWA. Senegal on the brink after elections postponed. And Britain's King Charles diagnosed with cancer. And that concludes world news. In development news, the chairman of the Ceylon Institute of Builders, Dr. Rohan Karunaratne, says Sri Lankan construction cost has reduced to levels on par with its neighbouring countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, India and Vietnam. Dr. Karunaratne further said, since the Ceylon Institute of Builders or CIOB has proved that the construction cost in Sri Lanka is now on par with our neighbouring countries, today Sri Lanka is in a position to attract overseas projects and also foreign investors. He added that this is the best time for the construction industry to look for opportunities overseas. And that came to you in development news.
Moving on with sports news.
In sports news, the Centre of Excellence at the Rangiri Dambulla Stadium, a significant milestone in the National Cricket Development Pathway Programme aimed at providing equal opportunities to talented Sri Lankan cricketers, was inaugurated by President Ranil Wickremesinghe on Monday, showcasing his commitment to fostering the growth of cricket in the country. The head of state unveiled the plaque and officially opened the centre and conducted an extensive observation tour. The facility is well equipped, featuring a hydrotherapy unit and a state-of-the-art medical centre dedicated to sports injury rehabilitation. Following this, the President inaugurated a new international-level swimming pool at the same premises, actively participating in the observation of its practical activities. He also unveiled the latest LED lighting system at the Rangiri Dambulla International Cricket Stadium, bringing it up to international standards. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හිත හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, the credit card activity, which remained anemic for a prolonged period, appears to have broken its trend and set off to potentially a robust run of spending in the period ahead. The cardholders were seen swipe more frequently for their festive spending, leisure and travelling needs in December last year. The latest data available showed that in December last year, the cardholders have ramped up their spending considerably, as the outstanding credit card balance of the licensed commercial banks has jumped to a robust 6,176 million rupees, the largest monthly increase for a very long time. The trend points to a sharp acceleration in the spending by the card users for their spending, as they appear to have felt a bit more ease to stretch their budgets with the cooling inflation and softening interest rates. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හිත හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Sri Lanka's tourism industry marked a resounding start to the new year by receiving more than 200,000 international visitors throughout the month of January. In January, the country received a total of 208,253 tourists, recording a staggering 103% year-on-year growth. In the beginning of last year, the island nation welcomed 102,545 visitors. However, despite the industry having maintained a strong momentum of crossing the 200,000 milestone for 2 consecutive months, the tourists' arrival rate is below the expected levels by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority. India continues to remain as the largest tourist traffic generator for Sri Lanka tourism. The neighbouring giant contributed to 16% of the total arrivals, bringing in 34,399 visitors. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
And finally, we move on to the weather report. Prevailing showery conditions are expected to be reduced in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, southern, Uva and eastern provinces from today onwards. Showers or thunder showers may occur at few places in the Sabaragama province and in the Kalutara, Gaul and Mathara districts in the afternoon. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere in the island. And that was the weather report. And now to conclude this news bulletin, a recap of the main news headlines. Head of State underscores the accomplishments in providing land rights to people without a revolution. In a major crackdown on crime, police carry out more arrests as part of Operation Yuktiya. Held trade unions and finance ministry representatives to meet today. 1,300 doctors to join government hospitals in March. Special changes to be made to facilitate the Muslim officers in view of the Ramadan season this year. The 5th session of the 9th Parliament to be declared open tomorrow. In international news, UN Chief appoints independent panel to assess UNRWA. In sports, the excellence of the Centre for Excellence at the Rangiri Dambula Stadium inaugurated by President to foster the growth of cricket in the country. And that concludes this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Over to Heshma Samat to keep you occupied or entertained this lunchtime. Over to you, Heshma.